One of the other key points from Climate 101, but also very important here for our greenhouse gas accounting, is what are the greenhouse gases? The Kyoto Protocol, which was first agreed in 1997, defined a basket of gases. It had 6 gases included in it. Those were carbon dioxide, which is by far the most common, and it's primarily from burning fossil fuels. Methane was the second gas, and that's the 2 biggest sources would be livestock and landfills. Nitrous oxide is the same laughing gas that you probably had at the dentist, but it's also from combustion processes as well as livestock, as well as some other industrial processes. So there are multiple sources of nitrous oxide. Then you have the so-called F gases, 3 of them in particular, 3 categories: hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride. HFCs, the hydrofluorocarbons, are primarily used in refrigeration. PFCs, the perfluorocarbons, are used in some medical procedures, but another big source is the aluminum industry. And it's actually a defect process. When they have faults in the manufacture of aluminum, there are large quantities of PFCs that are emitted. So they try to control those because it actually represents an inefficiency in the production process. And then sulfur hexafluoride is a super potent greenhouse gas. We'll talk in just a minute about global warming potential. But it is mainly used as an insulating gas for electrical switchgear. That's sulfur hexafluoride. The 2 others that are now on the right-hand side of the screen didn't really even exist or weren't used much at all in 1997 when the Kyoto Protocol was defining the original Kyoto 6 gases. But they've emerged more recently, and so they've been added. Nitrogen trifluoride is used when they do plasma etching on silica wafers for the IT telecommunications sector. And then hydrofluorinated ethers, HFEs, are very much like HFCs. They're used in refrigeration, and they're just a slightly different chemical compound than the HFCs. Now, there's 2 other terms here on the slide, global warming potential, GWP, and atmospheric lifetime. And they are somewhat related. I think I'll do atmospheric lifetime first. These gases tend to be very stable. And for the most part, that's what makes them attractive for their intended purposes. Sulfur hexafluoride, for example, has a residence time in the environment, an atmospheric lifetime of 3,200 years, 3,200 years. So when it is emitted, it persists for a very long time. HFCs, the main HFC, which is 134A, you see it listed there, it has a much shorter lifetime than that. It's a lifetime of 14 years in the environment. But because they all are very stable and tend to exist for extended periods of time, that helps contribute to their global warming potentials, which is really a ratio of their potency as a greenhouse gas to CO2. The CO2 is assigned a GWP of 1 and becomes the reference gas. So if you look at the remaining GWPs, like methane right below it, a GWP of 21 indicates that methane is 21 times as potent as CO2. So if you emitted 1 kilogram of methane, it would have the same warming impact as emitting 21 kilograms of carbon dioxide. Likewise, HFC 134A, the reason I have 2 different numbers listed there, we have a GWP of 1,300, which was the old value that that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, had ascribed based on the science up through their 4th assessment report. When the 5th assessment report came out, they adopted the later assessment or the later science, which actually indicated that they had been underestimating its potency. So they've now defined it as a 1,430 GWP, global warming potential. And if we look at sulfur hexafluoride, I called it super potent. It has a GWP 23,900 times that of CO2. So it is in our best interest to do a really good job of ensuring that sulfur hexafluoride never gets emitted.